Good morning, friends. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Abby, and we just picked up our half beef yesterday. I did a freezer organization in the middle of the night when I couldn't sleep, so you will definitely get to enjoy some very dark, dimly lit clips of me organizing beef all over our storage room floor, I am sure. But I just wanted to sit down and kind of chat about how to buy a half beef or quarter beef or full beef. If you want a full beef, more power to you.
We picked up our half beef in these 4 very large boxes that did not fit into our freezer. So we do have to kind of sort and organize things so it's easier for us to find and so it fits well into the chest freezer. We like to use these milk crates that we got from Walmart. We can fit 3 across and 2 deep into our chest freezer. So we're able to kind of keep all like things together. So if I'm looking for a roast, I know exactly where to go. And if I need to get anything, I can just lift a whole crate out instead of kind of digging around into the depths of our chest freezer trying to figure out what we have. So I like to start this whole process. It can be a little bit overwhelming, but I like to try to just split everything up into like grilling steaks and burger and roast, and that way I can at least kind of start to make sense of things and just keep adjusting as we go to try to fit everything in a way that makes sense so I don't lose things. The boxes do come with a giant mix match of everything in them, so there's not a whole lot of organization until I get in there and sort everything out. So it can be a little bit of a longer process. You're about to see it takes me an incredibly long time to figure out what on earth these are. They labeled them as delis, and it looks like a B to me at the very beginning, so bellies. And at 2 in the morning, it took me an incredibly long time to figure out what on earth they had packaged in these. So it turns out they're Delmonico steaks, and they just shortened it to delis, which completely makes sense, but not at 2 a.m. It took me way too long to figure that out. I also unearthed a couple extra chuck roast in this box, which chuck roast is my absolute favorite roast of all time. There is just so much good fat in it, and as you cook it low and slow, it just releases the fat and the flavor, and it is so good. This is very random, this next part, but I was keeping all of my frozen breast milk in one of the crates, and I had to empty it out so that I could fill it with beef. But if anyone has ever freeze-dried their own breast milk at home, let me know in the comments below because I am super curious about that. I looked online, there wasn't a ton of resources. I know I can send it off somewhere for someone to do that for me, but since we have a freeze dryer of our own, I would love to be able to do that myself. There's just not a ton of information. So if anyone out there has any insight, I would love to know more. It would be awesome to free up the freezer space and just keep this on our pantry shelf. Now let's jump right into a final freezer organization. Quick freezer tour before I completely fill it up. So we have hamburger over here. It's 2 crates deep full of burger. Down here we have shin bones, soup bones, and short ribs, things we don't really pull from very often, but they're all in that crate for when we do need them. Over here is a whole bunch of roasts. And then we have hiding over here some random fruit and a whole bunch of milk. And then out here, we're gonna stack this on top. This is shoulder roast, chuck roast, and our brisket. And over here we have all of our steaks that we can grill with. Everything fit perfectly in the freezer. I did keep out 1 pack of steaks to thaw so they're ready for Valentine's Day. And I kept out all of the stew beef. We like to can that and keep it on the pantry shelf so it's ready if we need a quick beef stew or stroganoff or barbacoa for tacos. So after all of this organization, let's jump into why we like to buy our meat this way.
We do like to buy our beef locally and in bulk. One, because I know that these are happy animals. I can talk to the farmers and see how they raise the beef. So for this particular cow, I know that they do pasture raised. So technically not grass-fed. They do get some grain, but they are allowed to free range and eat lots of good grass and get lots of fresh air. And it's probably controversial, but I really do think pasture-raised beef tastes better than fully grass-fed beef. Something about grass-fed beef just has a tiny bit of a different taste to me. So I love when there's a little bit of grain-fed to them as well. I just think the beef tastes a little bit better for my personal preferences, especially knowing that the cow was happy and outside and still eating plenty of grass. That is like the best of both worlds for me. So when you buy a half beef, you do get to have quite a bit of say in how you want your meat packaged, which I think is super cool. For roast, they typically ask how many pounds approximately you want them cut into. So I say between 2 and 3 pounds. That's just, from my experience, a good size to fit right in our crock pot. It's enough for us to eat for a meal and then have some leftovers. It doesn't get too overwhelming. And again, it fits nicely in my pans and crock pots and things like that. They also ask how thick you want your steaks cut, how many steaks you want per package, if you want your ground beef in 1 pound or 2 pound packs, if you want them to make it into burger patties for you. I'm trying to think. It's just very cool to kind of think through these things and think how you cook and how you want them to just tailor the meat specifically to your needs so you can get the best and easiest use out of it for your family. We love buying beef this way because it is a more affordable way to get some really high quality meat. So if you were to buy all of these cuts in the grocery store, it would obviously be quite a bit more expensive, but because we buy in bulk up front, it is a lower price for us, which is awesome. You do have to have a way to store it, so a chest freezer. You do have to have the kind of cash up front to pay for it. But once you have this in your freezer, it is definitely a really good buffer for inflation. If you just look at the past couple years, prices have gone up every single year. So the fact that we are able to buy this meat in bulk at the current price and then expect the price to go up in the next year or two, we are saving money in multiple ways by buying it in bulk, so it's a cheaper per pound, but then also buying it now at the current price instead of at a future inflated price. This year, the front quarter cost $3.59 a pound for hanging weight, and the rear quarter cost $3.95 a pound for hanging weight. So I'm curious to see in, a year or two, whenever we buy another half a cow, if I should say half beef. That is the technical term. I always say half a cow. Half beef. So next year or in 2 years, when we buy a half beef, I'm really curious to see if the price increased and how much. I also love that we have some food security. There's not a ton of food shortages right now, but you never know what could happen in the future. I never want to go through life with a fear mindset, or like a hoarder prepper kind of mindset is not how I like to go into our homesteading and just our life in general. I do keep a lot of food in our house. We try to have about a year's supply of fruits and veggies on our pantry shelves. We have a 1 to 2 year supply of beef in our freezer now. We keep flour and oats and sugar in bulk and oil, all sorts of things in bulk in our house, but I don't want to go into it doing this out of fear. I like to think of it as that I am providing, 1, really nutritious food for our family, and 2, at the lowest price possible because we bought it in bulk. And then also we have plenty that if anything were to go down, I know our family would be okay, but we would also be able to share with our friends and neighbors and anyone who might need it. So again, I don't try to go into this with a fear mindset of, the world is going to end and we need to take care of our family for the next 30 years. I just try to look at it as I'm trying to be prepared for whatever might happen so that I know my family will be fed and will be taken care of, and we will be able to help our friends and neighbors and family if they need it. Another thing that I think is really cool about buying your meat in bulk from a local farmer, which I had just never considered, like this sounds so dumb, but when you go to the grocery store, if you bought a pack of, 4 steaks, those 4 steaks could be from 4 different animals. And when you buy a pound of ground beef, there is a statistic, each pound of grocery store ground beef is estimated to have meat from 100 different animals in it. Like, isn't that just absurd? All of our meat is from this one cow that lived a great, happy life up until the very end, whereas the grocery store meat is just kind of all mixed together from a bunch of different animals in different places. And I mean, just from a food safety perspective, obviously having the meat from one animal is way safer, so you don't get kind of mix match from who knows where. I think I said when I was organizing, but I love that I get to try different cuts of meat. So I don't think I've ever bought filet mignon from the grocery store. Like, it's too expensive. I don't really know what to do with it, so I'm afraid I'm gonna mess it up. But I love that you get everything. You get the fillets, the different round roasts and chuck roasts and Ive rounds and just all these different things that you get to research, like the best way to cook this food. And I find that really fun. I think that is so fun to be creative in the kitchen and just really kind of push me outside my comfort zone to learn how to cook with different cuts and learn what we really enjoy and things that maybe aren't our favorite. So one thing that I had never cooked with before, besides the filet mignon, never have ever bought filet mignon from the grocery store, but short ribs. I never bought short ribs before, no idea what to do with them, still not super comfortable cooking them, but with the last cow we got, I got to experiment. We tried a couple different recipes. I know we did a ramen recipe that was really good, and we did something else, and it was just something that maybe it's not my absolute favorite meal that we're gonna make all day every day, but I think it's good to get variety in your diet and try new things, especially now that we have kids. It's always good to give new food in front of them, their new cooking skills in the kitchen. So I really enjoy that about our half beef as well. I think I have rambled on long enough. So thank you for joining me. I hope this inspires you to maybe consider buying your meat locally and in bulk from a local farmer. And remember, if you don't have a giant chest freezer that you can put your beef in, maybe just get a quarter beef and split it with a couple of friends. So you each get, a little bit that you're able to fit in your just stand up normal freezer in your kitchen. So let me know if you have any questions, and I hope you have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next video.